Hey yo, listen. The number is 4 million. That's what the internet says Remy Ma is sitting on, and that's the number Papoose is reportedly staring at in a divorce filing like it's a lottery ticket with his name already scratched off. But here's the part nobody wants to sit with, the part that turned Angie Martinez's Summer BBQ into a public execution, the part that has the entire culture texting each other the same 3 words this weekend. We don't got the money, Pap. Because the man who was supposed to be the honorable one, the man who was supposed to be the ride or die, the man who was on every red carpet holding her hand like a bodyguard with a book deal, that man reportedly wants half. Half of the empire he did not build. Half of the bag he did not chase. Half of the years he spent visiting a prison instead of doubling a fortune. And Remy Ma, live and direct in front of Brooklyn, in front of Claressa Shields, in front of a crowd that came for ribs and left with a whole rap career on the grill, told the world in real time that the only reason this divorce is not finalized in 2026 is because Papoose will not stop asking for a check he did not earn. This is not a beef. This is not a breakup. This is a man who reportedly filed for divorce back in May of last year, told the world she cheated multiple times, went on every platform playing the wounded husband, and then quietly slid a number across the table that has nothing to do with vows and everything to do with the bag. Everything you thought you knew about who was the loyal one in that marriage, everything the internet told you about Papoose being the last honorable rapper standing, everything the culture agreed on when this thing first broke. That entire framing has been running on the wrong information. Because when we get to the part about the therapy session, and I promise you we are getting there, and when we get to the part about the Battle League, the knockout, the fedora budget, the private jet hangar footage, the Stevie Wonder shades on the street with nobody stopping to say hi, you are going to understand that this was never about a broken marriage. This was about a man who reportedly realized somewhere between the second cheating accusation and the therapist's office that his wife's name was worth more than his catalog ever would be. And now he wants a receipt. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now let me set the whole table for you because a lot of y'all are jumping into this in 2026 and you don't have the full timeline in your head. And without the timeline, this story just sounds like drama. But with the timeline, this story sounds like a heist. Remy Ma and Papoose, real names Reminisce Smith and Shamil Mackey, have been the poster couple for hip-hop marriage for almost 2 decades. She went to prison in 2008 for the shooting incident, did 6 years, came home in 2014, and the entire time she was locked up, Papoose was doing the visits, writing the letters, holding down the image of the loyal husband who would not let the streets or the industry pull him away. That was the brand. That was the whole brand. Remy comes home, gets her Grammy nomination with Fat Joe for All the Way Up in 2016, jumps on Love and hip-hop, becomes one of the most respected female MCs of her era, and the culture writes the storybook ending in permanent marker. Loyal wife, loyal husband, they made it. They beat the system. They beat the industry. They beat the odds. Fast forward to May 2025, and that fairy tale reportedly gets set on fire in public when Papoose announces he filed for divorce and claims Remy Ma cheated on him numerous times, most notably with a Bronx battle rapper named Eazy The Block Captain, and the story immediately becomes the biggest breakup in hip-hop that year. Papoose goes on live, tells his side, plays the wounded husband, says he knocked Eazy out when he found out, and the culture initially gives him the benefit of the doubt because of course they do. He did the 15 years of loyalty PR work. He earned that first-round sympathy vote. But then, slowly, week by week, month by month, Remy Ma starts letting the actual receipts trickle out and the picture starts changing. She drops the private texts. She drops the freestyles. She drops WIFL and puts his name in the record on stage at Angie Martinez's Summer BBQ. And now, in the summer of 2026, more than a year after the initial filing, the divorce still is not finalized. Why? Because reportedly, according to Remy Ma herself, live in front of a crowd, in front of cameras, in front of the entire internet, Papoose wants half. He wants roughly $2 million off a woman whose net worth he reportedly did nothing to build. The stakes here are not just personal. Musically, this decides whether Remy's next chapter is free and clear or whether her catalog and her earnings get chopped in half by a man who could not double a dollar while she was in a cell. Culturally, this decides how the entire hip-hop community remembers the last 20 years of that marriage. Was he the loyal one or was he the leech in disguise? Financially, this is a $2 million transfer of wealth from the woman who built the empire to the man who reportedly sat on the couch and wrote love letters. And reputation-wise, This is the moment the whole culture has to answer one very uncomfortable question. How many other Papooses are out there right now, wearing the loyal husband costume, waiting for the check? So, let's start with what the internet has already seen with its own two eyes, because before we get into the deep industry read, before we get into the therapy session breakdown, before we get into the label politics of a woman running her own battle league, we have to start with the surface. And the surface alone is damning enough to end this man's public image for good. The first piece of visible evidence is the Angie Martinez Summer BBQ moment itself, which happened this past weekend and is already being replayed across every hip-hop platform in existence. Remy Ma took the stage, performed "W.I. Fell," switched her lyrics live on the microphone, and said Papoose's name directly in front of Brooklyn. This is not a subtweet. This is not a vague freestyle. This is not a wink and a nudge to the fanbase. This is a woman standing on a stage in her home borough with the entire industry watching and telling the crowd that the only reason she is not officially single is because her estranged husband will not stop asking for half of her money. Baller Alert posted it. The Shade Room posted it. Press Play posted it. Charlemagne posted a recap of it on his own page. Every single one of those platforms has the clip up right now, and the comments underneath every single one of those posts are saying the same thing: Pap, we don't got the money. The second piece of surface evidence is the fedora situation. And listen, I do not want to spend too much time on this, but I have to spend some time on this, because the fedora situation is the visual metaphor for this entire divorce. Papoose has been photographed all over the internet in the last 12 months, wearing what can only be described as detective in a Hallmark movie fedoras. Anthony Hopkins fedoras. The kind of fedoras a man wears when he is about to solve a murder in a small British village. And the internet has clocked it. Every hip-hop commentary channel, every meme page, every barbershop group chat has clocked it. The man who reportedly cannot agree to less than half of a $4 million estate has a fedora budget that suggests he is doing just fine. The third piece of surface evidence is the private jet hangar incident, which multiple outlets have reported on and which the internet has now branded the Bow Wow Challenge airport moment. Footage has been circulating of Papoose reportedly at a jet hangar doing a photo op that mimics the infamous Bow Wow airport challenge from years ago. Same energy, same posturing, same performance of wealth. And I just have to say this. You cannot be the man begging for half of your wife's money while simultaneously performing private jet fantasy for the timeline. That is not how any of this works. Pick a lane. The fourth piece of surface evidence, and this is the one that has the entire culture in tears, is the Stevie Wonder Shade street footage. There is video circulating of Papoose walking down the street in sunglasses so opaque, so oversized, so aggressively tinted that the internet has collectively renamed them the Stevie Wonder Shields. And the entire joke of the footage is that nobody is stopping him. Nobody is coming up to say what's up. Nobody is asking for a picture. The man is walking down the street in celebrity cosplay in the summer of 2026, and the general public is treating him like a traffic cone. That is not opinion. That is the video. Look it up. You can find it on any of the major hip-hop pages that covered this week's news cycle. And oh, do I have more. The stands on Papoose's side of the internet are really not going to like what comes next, because the surface stuff is just the appetizer. The main course is the cultural evidence, the insider stuff, the artist-to-artist chatter, the moments that only people paying real attention to hip-hop would even catch. I am about to walk you through why the entire battle rap community, the entire New York industry ecosystem, and the entire female rap sisterhood has already picked a side in this thing, and it is not the side Papoose thought he was going to be standing on. Let's start the cultural layer with Eazy The Block Captain himself, because this is where the story gets interesting and where Papoose's version of events starts falling apart at the seams. Eazy The Block Captain, the Bronx battle rapper at the center of the alleged affair, has done multiple interviews now addressing the situation, and his position has been consistent. He has publicly claimed that Papoose reportedly knew about the alleged affair for years and did nothing about it until it became public. That is a direct contradiction of the wounded husband narrative Papoose sold the internet in May of last year. That is not me speculating. That is coming out of Eazy's own mouth on multiple platforms, including a widely circulated YouTube sit-down where he opened up about the negative media coverage and the split rumors. And here is what makes his testimony hit different. He is a battle rapper. His entire career is built on being publicly humiliated on a stage and turning it into art. So when a battle rapper says out loud, on camera, on the record, that Papoose reportedly knew, and that Papoose reportedly did not do anything about it until it became a headline, You have to at least entertain the possibility that the loyal husband story was retroactive damage control. The second piece of cultural evidence is Geechee Gotti. For those of you who do not follow battle rap, Geechee Gotti is one of the most respected battle rappers of the last decade, a URL top-tier competitor. And he violated Remy Ma in a battle by bringing up the exact same rumors about Eazy The Block Captain years before Papoose ever filed for divorce. That is on Reddit. That is on YouTube. That is documented battle rap footage. Which means the streets knew. The battle rap community knew. Everybody in that ecosystem knew. Which raises the question, how did Papoose, the man who was reportedly gorilla glued to his wife by her own description, not know? Or if he did know, why did he wait until it was profitable to know? The third piece of cultural evidence is Remy Ma's own leaked and shared private texts, which she released to People magazine and AOL last year, and which have been recirculating this week. In those texts, Remy reportedly asks Papoose to issue a statement to counter the stories being told about her, and Papoose reportedly encourages her to stay quiet. Stay quiet. That is the strategy of a man who does not want the timeline to be examined. That is not the strategy of a man who is confident in his version of the story. That is the strategy of a man who reportedly knows that if the full picture ever comes out, he is not going to look like the honorable husband anymore. He is going to look like a man who was strategically silent while his wife took the reputational damage. The fourth piece of cultural evidence, and this is the one that stitches everything together, is the Claressa Shields situation. Papoose has reportedly been publicly linked to Claressa Shields, the boxer, in the aftermath of the divorce filing, and Remy Ma's WIFL lyrics reportedly take aim at both of them by name and by reference. The Shade Room covered it. Yahoo covered it. Every major hip-hop outlet covered it. And here is the moment of nuance I promised you, because I want to be fair, Papoose's defenders will say that he moved on because Remy moved on first with Eazy The Block Captain, and that the timeline supports his version. Fine. Let's grant that for a second. Let's say he really did find out, really was heartbroken, really did knock Eazy out, and really did move on with Claressa in a moment of genuine emotional collapse. Okay. If that is the case, if he is truly the wounded party, if he is truly the man who was betrayed by the woman he built a life with, then why is he reportedly asking for half of her money? Because a wounded husband does not send an invoice. A wounded husband walks away with his dignity. A wounded husband takes the L and goes to build something new. A wounded husband does not sit in a therapist's office, refuse to move out, plan to live under his wife's roof until his 5-year-old goes to prom, and then ask for $2 million. That is not grief. That is a business plan. And that is where the entire honorable husband narrative collapses, because you cannot claim to be the victim and the investor at the same time. Pick one. Now here is where we shift gears, because up until this point we have been talking about a marriage, a divorce, a cheating scandal, a knockout, a barbecue moment, and a fedora budget. That is entertainment. That is culture. That is drama. But there is a much bigger story sitting underneath all of this, and if you have been paying attention to how the hip-hop industry actually works in 2026, you already sense where I am going. Because this is not just about Remy Ma and Papoose. This is about how the industry treats women who build their own infrastructure, and how the men around them position themselves to take a cut when the infrastructure gets valuable. The first systemic angle you have to understand is the Chrome 23 situation. Remy Ma founded her own battle rap league, Chrome 23, in an effort to bring the URL and king of the dot style of battle rap culture into a female-owned, female-led business structure. That is not a small move. That is a woman who did years in a state prison building an entire business vertical inside one of the most male-dominated corners of hip-hop. And when you understand that, you understand why the Eazy The Block Captain situation is not just a cheating scandal, it is a business collision. Because Eazy is a battle rapper. He operates in the exact ecosystem that Chrome 23 was trying to build. And Papoose reportedly knocking him out, whatever the personal motivation was, also had a secondary effect that nobody has talked about enough. It destabilized his wife's business venture. Her #1 artist in her league, reportedly assaulted by her own husband. Think about what that does to a battle league trying to attract talent. Think about what that does to the willingness of other battle rappers to sign with a league where the owner's husband might reportedly knock you out if you cross a personal line. That is not just a marital dispute. That is a business sabotage, whether it was intentional or not, and the industry noticed. The second systemic angle is the classic industry playbook for how men in hip-hop have historically positioned themselves around successful women. And I do not want to name names here because I want to keep this analytical, but if you look at the last 30 years of hip-hop, you will find a pattern of male partners who attach themselves to female artists at moments of ascent, present themselves as the loyal supporter for the duration of the come-up, and then reappear at the moment of separation with claims on the intellectual property, the catalog, the publishing, or the estate. That is not a Papoose invention. That is a genre-wide pattern. And what is happening in this divorce, if the reports are accurate, is a live demonstration of that pattern in real time. A man who did not produce her records, did not write her verses, did not build her audience, did not book her tours, did not run her label, did not manage her career, reportedly asking for half of what she built because he was married to her while she built it. That is the model. That is the playbook. And the reason this story matters far beyond Remy and Pap personally is because the outcome is going to set a precedent that other women in hip-hop are watching right now. Cardi, Latto, Ice Spice, Sexy Red. Every female rapper who is married or seriously partnered is watching this outcome and thinking about their own prenups, their own asset structures, their own exit strategies. This case is going to be studied. The third systemic angle is the media manipulation layer, and this is where things get uncomfortable. Because when Papoose filed in May of last year and told his side first, the entire hip-hop media machine ran with his version for weeks before Remy said a single public word. Why? Because he had reportedly built up loyal husband equity for 15 years, and that equity translated into media benefit of the doubt. The Shade Room framed it his way. Multiple radio hosts framed it his way. Multiple podcast networks framed it his way. Remy had to spend the entire second half of 2025 and the first half of 2026 clawing back a narrative she never should have had to claw back. That is what a strategic PR rollout looks like. That is what happens when a man has spent a decade and a half positioning himself as the moral authority in a marriage. When the marriage ends, he gets to file the paperwork first, tell the story first, and control the framing first. And the industry lets him, because that is how the industry has always worked when the man is the more publicly sympathetic figure. What Remy Ma has done in 2026, culminating in the Angie Martinez BBQ moment, is single-handedly reverse-engineer that PR strategy in public. She let him talk. She let him tell the story. She let him build the wounded husband image. And then she waited until she had a live crowd, a live song, a live camera, and a live audience, and she detonated the whole thing in one lyric change. That is not just a diss. That is a masterclass in reputation warfare. And here is the truth bomb, the part one I've been building toward this entire video, the part that reframes every single thing you thought you knew about this marriage. According to Remy Ma's own words, reportedly said live on stream and live at the barbecue, the reason her divorce from Papoose has not been finalized in more than a year is not because of custody disputes, not because of asset disagreements about the house or the cars, not because of any of the normal things divorces get stuck on. It is specifically because Papoose reportedly will not accept anything less than half of a $4 million net worth that she built. And that number, that specific number, exposes what this entire marriage was reportedly structured to become at the end. Because think about it. If Papoose was truly the loyal, honorable, ride-or-die husband he sold the internet on for 15 years, he would walk away with the assets that were built during the marriage, the shared property, the co-parenting arrangement, the co-owned business interests, and he would call it a day. But that is not what is reportedly happening. What is reportedly happening is a claim on her name, a claim on her legacy. A claim on the value she generated during the 6 years she was locked up in a cell, and he was doing prison visits that, and this is the part that reveals the whole game, reportedly did not include him building a single independent revenue stream of his own during that time. According to the widely circulated commentary framing, while Remy was in prison, other rappers' wives were tripling the money their husbands left them with. Keisha Kaur reportedly grew Gucci Mane's fortune substantially while he was locked up. That is the standard for a supportive spouse of a locked-up artist. Grow the empire while your partner is unable to. And what does the record reportedly say about Papoose during Remy's incarceration? He visited. He wrote. He was loyal. All of which is beautiful. All of which is honorable. All of which was, according to Remy's own words at the barbecue, a form of him being gorilla glued to her instead of building anything on his own. And now, in 2026, that same man reportedly wants half of what she built after she came home and outworked him. Half of the empire he did not construct. This is the moment the entire honorable husband image dies publicly. Because the industry can forgive a lot of things: cheating, jealousy, ego, even public embarrassment. What the industry cannot forgive, what the culture cannot forgive, what hip-hop as a whole is not built to forgive, is a man asking for a check he did not earn from a woman who did her time and came home and worked. That is the unforgivable. And that is what Papoose reportedly has on the table right now. $2 million. Off his wife's accomplishments. Off her prison time. Off her comeback. Off her Chrome 23 hustle. Off her Grammy nomination. Off her love and hip-hop bag. Off her verses. Off her name. $2 million. For what? For the visits? For the letters? For the fedoras? For the jet hanger photos? For the therapy session where he reportedly had the therapist do the emotional work he could not do himself? And here is what I want everybody to understand as we start to bring this home. Remy Ma is going to be fine. Remy Ma is more than fine. Remy Ma is currently one of the most talked about names in hip-hop this week for all the right reasons, standing on a stage in her home borough, performing her own song, calling her own shots, running her own league, raising her daughter, and telling the entire industry with a single lyric change that she is done being quiet. The woman who did 6 years in a state prison, came home, got Grammy nominated, built a battle league, became a love and hip-hop staple, and outworked her own husband on every single financial metric is not the villain of this story. She never was. The narrative that tried to make her the villain in May of last year has completely collapsed under the weight of her own receipts. And that is the beautiful thing about integrity: it does not need to shout. It does not need to file first. It does not need to run to the therapist. It does not need to wear the fedora and the Stevie Wonder shades and do the jet hanger photo op. Integrity waits. Integrity works. Integrity gets on a stage at a summer barbecue and lets the truth do the talking. Every piece of evidence we walked through in this video points to the same conclusion. The person with the discipline is still winning. The person with the work ethic is still rising. And the person who built the empire is still standing on the empire, while the other person is reportedly writing invoices from the couch. One person makes music that gets performed at Angie Martinez's barbecue in front of a live crowd. The other person makes fedora choices that get roasted on every hip-hop commentary channel in the country. One person is running a battle league. The other person is reportedly asking for a discount off her success. One person came home from prison and built. The other person, according to his own wife, reportedly stayed glued to her instead of building. And the receipts are not opinion. The receipts are the story. The internet did not manufacture the fedora footage. The internet did not manufacture the Stevie Wonder Shields walk. The internet did not manufacture the barbecue moment. All of that is real. All of that is on tape. All of that is on the timeline. And when the dust settles on this divorce, whenever it finally settles, the culture is going to remember who was standing tall and who was reportedly reaching for a check. But this is only the start of the story, because there are two very specific developments coming that you need to keep your eyes on if you actually want to understand how this ends. The first is the Chrome 23 rollout. Remy Ma is reportedly gearing up for a major push behind her battle rap league in the back half of 2026, and if the league starts generating serious revenue in the coming months, watch how the divorce negotiations reportedly shift. Because a man asking for half of a $4 million estate looks different when the estate starts becoming a $5 million estate, a $6 million estate, a $7 million estate. The math changes. The pressure changes. The urgency changes. The second development to watch is the Claressa Shields piece, because Claressa is a champion boxer with her own public image, her own brand, and her own opinions, and if this relationship keeps getting dragged into Remy Ma's public commentary, like it reportedly was at the barbecue, Claressa is not going to stay quiet forever. That is not a woman built to stay quiet. And when she talks, this whole story gets a new chapter. So stay locked in, because there is a lot more coming in this saga, and the only way you are not going to miss any of it is by being subscribed right now. Hit that button. Turn on notifications. Because when the next chapter drops, and it is going to drop soon, you want to be first in line for the breakdown. And speaking of what is coming next, you need to click the next video I have queued up, because I am about to walk you through the full breakdown of the Chrome 23 Battle Rap League, why it might be the most important female-led business in hip-hop right now, and the exact reason certain men in the industry reportedly do not want to see it succeed. It is the piece nobody is covering, and it is the piece that changes how you see everything Remy Ma has been doing for the last 3 years. Click it. You will not regret it. This your boy. Thanks for rocking with me, and I will see you in the next one.